Yo, what is good, my anime people? What is good, yo? Guys, let's talk about a show that did really interesting stuff before I get into a different show later on. And, yeah. Anyway, Princess Connecto. Um, I don't know what I really expect from this story at the end of the day, but everything they usually give me is pretty entertaining and well looking forward to. But this week's episode definitely felt like another one that was kind of something I expected more or less earlier. I didn't think it was going to be more towards the season finale of the show. But to actually get some backstory on the characters was nice to see for the first time in some time. We know as much as we know as much as we're gonna know about her, the girl who has the overall big like burden on her shoulder when it comes down to her, getting the information and selling out the people she's with and stuff. So it's obvious that she's going to, have a backstory that's not as in depth when it comes down to explaining it. I guess just in this show's overall way of way of working. The show just has no problem with just chilling, relaxing, and just being like, okay, well, we'll get to it when we get to it. So just enjoy the show. And when it comes down to someone who's clearly connected to the final boss or the final person we gotta see get defeated, I guess it makes a lot more sense that her past would take longer to get into. But as we just see one of the best princesses in the show, we get to see what she kind of deal with. Having her family pretty much writing her off like they don't know her and stuff like that is pretty messed up. So I'm already pretty interested to seeing if that's actually how they felt and how they actually treated her, because it would make sense in some regard uh, of just her like leaving and wanting to explore, if she left by on her own accord, or did her parents to the point did not like her and they wanted her to leave, stuff like that. Is what I'm really looking forward to getting the questions to, is why is she always out by herself? Why didn't she ever bring up like her past or her family and stuff, or what she's done as a kid? Um, and just overall, what kind of lifestyle does she live? Were they always that rude to her in the case of acting as if they don't even know her? So it was interesting to see those little bits of storytelling coming out, but at the same time, it's obvious that that stuff should be explained. But with this week's episode, they treated it like it was something that you just gotta sit with and not really expect to know anything more than you already do, type of deal. Which is unfortunate, but I also don't believe that should be the case. I hope it's not the case. We're getting into episode 13, and we're just now maybe learning something about somebody who's been in the show since like episode 1. So it's just an interesting time period of how long it took them to really kind of start fleshing out these characters and actually giving them some backstory. So I'm interested to see what they'll actually do for all the characters, because, like I said before, this show is ridiculously fun to watch. It's entertaining. It's overall one of the things that you just don't expect, or you should go in not expecting it, and you just come out with a much more appreciated story. I feel like I don't expect really anything out of this whole entire thing. just like how I went in checking it out. But now that it's gotten to this point, I want to know more about characters. I want to see more things happen, and that is the glory of just finding a show that not only did you not know what would be good or bad, but you just gave it a chance, and voila. Uh, Overall, though, man, I think what we're seeing with all the characters and how things have been progressively getting darker and darker with the power getting stronger with time. Um, it feels like that's one aspect that the show really didn't care to touch upon is why is the time happening? What is the time insinuating? Like, what's gonna happen if the time reaches a bad thing for the bad side, or is there a time? There was a time clock for the good side as well, so there's not been much explanation there. Excuse me. And to top it all off, we don't have nearly enough information about how much training our main character was actually doing. And here's the thing: this is the only reason why I still don't care for his character as much as, like, for instance, the princess, or even the demon girls. Like, everybody seems like a cooler character than him, and that for some reason bugs me. And then come to find out he's actually been training non-stop with the sword to get ridiculously good, which we never actually get to see any of. Besides, like the 4 or 5 times we actually see it. But supposedly he's been training for weeks and months on end, and he should be well capable of doing something. And, and then this show kicks in, and he doesn't do anything. I'm like, bro, besides, almost power up everybody when they're already on the ground, I don't know what he was doing. Um, but he then gets saved by the girl who makes the crepes, which proves my point that he does not do really anything. And my that was my stand on this guy since the beginning of the show, is that he's like the worst main character because he doesn't talk, and he's just kind of just there, but some reason he's important. So uh, I get that he's lost his memories. I get that he's, still recovering from whatever trauma he's probably gone through already. But that doesn't change the fact that he is very, very needed by everybody, and his powers really don't manifest in a quick enough time or a timely manner where it's actually helpful to everybody who needs them. So hopefully he gets a little bit better at that. I feel like this show could end at any time and still, like, not give us the grand story, and it still be good. Like, not a lot of shows you could say, oh yeah, if it ended right now and then the second season came out, I would still love it. Like, there's not a lot of anime or shows in general that do that anymore because they usually miss the mark so bad somewhere that it's kind of just like, okay, well, I'm not watching that show again. I think I have a show to talk about that just happened today that I could say that too. um, but yeah, I really, really think that everything going on in this show is cool up until you get to the main character, who still hasn't gotten really any character development besides the fact that he does certain things that he's been doing since episode 1 more than he used to, or he's still doing something like the sword training. So yeah, I don't know how to feel about his character. Hopefully it gets a little bit better. Mind you, I have said that as well already, so it's like, it's not like I haven't been hoping he would get a little bit cooler and be a little bit more worth watching and stuff like that from before. It's just that now that the show supposedly is coming to its end of its first season, and I still haven't got to see anything, I'm kind of skeptical of where the story's end point is actually going to be now. So, well, that being said, everybody, though, hope you're having a good day, night, evening, whatever the case may be when you're watching this. I am your boy, the Anime G, and I will definitely talk to you sooner than later. With all that being said, give anime a shot, but sometimes if you know in your gut that certain things might never change, you might be right. You might just be right. So, yeah, take that as you will. Peace.